Hi and welcome to another episode where we have a special guest with us. Ms. Gayathri Venugopalan, BCCI umpire, recently completed a 4-day test which was actually, in my opinion, one of the best test matches that India played. It was against South Africa here in the hot and humid conditions of Chennai. Starting 4 days, I felt bad that to be an umpire could be the toughest job. But she's somebody who's enjoyed this career of hers, and it's come after a lot of changes. And I've seen her as a player, and then I saw her get into the field of management, and she owned her own company for a brief bit. And then when she finally came back into cricket, I was perhaps one of the happiest because she in some way has inspired the person that I am today. She fails to believe that, but that's the truth, and I'm making it public out here. So Guy, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
So we have a history going back to from 1998. In college, she was my senior here at college in Ethiraj. A very famous college known for being very well-mannered and completely doing right by everybody. At least the students of Ethiraj are famous for that, isn't it? No wonder that we got along well. We have very, very similar ideologies. So Guy, what is it being here in Chennai? You grew up in Chennai. You have your history is here, and then you now in Delhi, right? But your cricketing journey that started in Delhi. So let's start from the beginning here. When I met you, 1998, in Ethiraj, you were a player. Did you play gully cricket before? What was it that inspired you to play cricket?
Yes, a lot of gully cricket. My brother and my two cousins, both of them happened to be boys, so invariably I was hanging out with them all the time. And they took to cricket, a lot of gully cricket, and I used to play with them all the time, and that kind of, I think, seeded that love for cricket in me.
And are you a formally trained player? Were you a formally trained player? Did you go to an academy, get coached?
Not necessarily, but we used to watch all possible cricket all the time, and then you would listen to commentators, the way they go about the analysis. I think back in those days, a lot of us were self-made cricketers, good or bad, and I was one of them.
Great, because I, for one, can guarantee she was the good kind. So I've seen her play, and I've been, like I said, been inspired as well. Right. So growing up, what do you think was your dream? Was being a cricketer? I'm sure it was never part of any of our dreams because we never knew it existed. But at some point, did it come through? Feel that you could make a career as a player? Did you want to make it as a career as a player?
Funnily, I wanted to become a cricketer even before, so I wouldn't say it was a part of our dreams. So even in school, we had cricket coaching for boys. So I remember.
And which school is this?
PSDB, Padma Seshadri. So I remember a couple of us girls went to the school principal and said, why don't you think of conducting such a camp for girls as well? And we were told, why don't you go and collect a group of girls who would be interested, and let's think about it. I remember two of us went class to class requesting for girls to, come out and enroll themselves. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough girls way back then, and PSBB, even though I am from there, was more an academically oriented school.
Despite you?
Despite, yes, I was one of the exceptions there. But but carried that love over, and thankfully, when I entered Ethiraj had a college cricket team, and that helped move on from there.
You played university a couple of years?
Yes.
And do you see that there's a lot of change in cricket that's happened from the time you played? That's way back in 99, 2000 to now?
Way, chalk and cheese. There's a lot of science involved now in the way people go about, from the fitness levels to the skill levels to warming up and your actual core skills to cooling down. I think a lot of those things did not have. I think we were not a part of BCCI way back then, and hence the infrastructure and support available was also very limited, and hence at the grassroots levels it was even more limited. So huge difference, and most of them for the better. So it's nice to see what the women cricketers get today, and I hope they keep performing and they get more and more. I think they deserve all of it.
But having said that, I always believe if it weren't for people like you I'm taking because you are the one person I saw coming in, and then subsequently others who continue to play the sport, it wouldn't be where it is today. So there are a lot of people in that journey that the current women cricketers have to also be grateful for, because without their persistence, today what you are seeing that has happened at a global level wouldn't be happening.
I wouldn't put myself at such a pedestal, but yeah, there are women, and you're one of them, who played much higher level of cricket back in those days when there was not enough of a career or a future to look forward to in terms of what you can support yourself with. So I think thanks to all of them, and I agree with that point. Yes, thanks to all you guys, that women's cricket is where it is today.
All right. So after cricket, you went out of the sport for a brief bit. And at that point in time, you are a management graduate yourself. But I remember you still coming back into the sport even in your business ventures.
True. What they say, the Kida for cricket never went away. So even when I was in Gurgaon, I used to travel about 35-40 kilometers away to North Delhi in Ashok Vihar and train. And there was some semblance of hope still to make it at a higher level in professional cricket. Unfortunately, I got injured that time and I had to go through a shoulder surgery. By the time I went through that, I knew that much younger crop and much fitter cricketers were coming in. So I had to go back and start from scratch. So I gave up playing cricket, but after 2-3 years, the love for cricket never went away, and you always wanted to be associated with cricket in some form or the other. In a casual conversation, it came about, and I took to umpiring.
There are so many other opportunities. You could have opted to be, even within cricket, you could be an analyst, considering you are somebody who's used to, crunching numbers. Perhaps you could have probably gone into the data side of it, like I said, or even to the technical side of it, the video analysis bit. Why umpiring? Apart from that conversation, anything else that drove you towards umpiring?
I took to writing for a bit, in fact, and I very soon realized that I was a very boring writer. I found it difficult to read my own writing. Yeah, I think in terms of core content, it was fine, but I didn't have the flair for writing. So you need to have some of that. So when I started thinking what else, and yes, umpiring, you are in the thick of things. You play a very passive role. It's a game of the players at the end of the day. We are only here as facilitators, but you're still there right in the middle of action, able to watch it, like they say, the cliched line, the best seat on the cricket ground, as they say. So I said, why not give it a try? And then it took off from there.
So talk us through that. How did it start?
Like I said, it came about in a very casual conversation. I realized very soon about my writing skills. So,
Any articles that I can read?
No, I wouldn't want to go
published?
Back to them. I would. Yes, they got published.
Then I definitely read.
But yes, so came about in a casual conversation, and I started searching on the internet a lot. It took a lot of time to find out, because again, I'm talking about 2013. Very little information was available on the net. So I literally spent a week searching for information, and then I realized you had to go and enroll yourself with an association. So since I live in Gurgaon and NCR, I went to the DDCA, the Delhi District Cricket Association, and then found out information, enrolled myself there. Thankfully for me, very soon there was a class conducted for umpires on the basic MCC laws of cricket. That's where you start from, that's the foundation. And then it started off.
So what are the first games that you...
So I had some women's practice games, I think, for their state selections to start with, and then it went lull for a while, till one of my colleagues kind of prodded me and said the DDCA league games had started, and if I was doing any, I realized, I was not even aware. So I went to the DDCA. Initially, there were some doubts. They said, you are a woman, will you be able to handle men's cricket? And the way men tend to be a little more emotional and aggressive on the field. So would I be able to handle? My only question was, it is not a competition of physical skills where I'm competing with men on power or stamina. It's about the basic fundamentals of the game remain the same. And I'd already run a business of my own where I had to go to the smallest pockets and corners of Delhi and get products manufactured from vendors. So if I had the ability to manage them and the corporate clients on the other hand, so I had to kind of tell them, what makes you think I won't be able to handle players on the field? So credit to them, they decided to finally give in and give me a try, and then it took off again.
So once you started doing this, were you by then qualified by the BCCI to do it, or did that come a little later?
So that comes much later because there are various levels of examination that you would need to clear at the theory level, and then of course for the practice level you need to go on and prove yourself on the field. And of course every time a new situation happens, you are equipping yourself with experience and how you manage them. Sometimes you get it right, sometimes you go and discuss with other more experienced umpires this particular situation, how do you manage, or how should I have managed, and then you get on from there. There was a very interesting thing that Mr. Anil Chaudhary is an ICC panel umpire, and he was there at the DDCA when one of my first visits, and he said, listen, this is all fine to want to become an umpire because it looks glamorous on TV, but it's a very, very challenging job to go and stand out there for 7-8 hours in the field, focusing on every ball, and different weather conditions. It could be extreme sun, extreme heat, it could be extremely cold. And then he said, in my career, I've come across different kinds of umpires. Some people who are fantastic in theory, but when you put them out on the field, under pressure, appears when you have to give a decision in a fraction of a second, they sometimes are not able to handle that. And then there are the others who are fantastic on the field of play. They can do all this brilliantly, but can't quite get the theory part of it right to be able to clear the exams. So unless you pick yourself up on both, you can't go to the highest level. So that was a big learning for me right in the beginning.
And initially, what was your strong point? Was it the theory or was it the practical?
No, I like to believe that as an umpire, if you need to grow and if you need to perform well, you need to be good at both.
I'm just saying, which did you think you were better off, so you had to work harder on the other one?
I don't know, because I tried to put work on both. I would say, slightly indirect answer to your question, my strength will be my discipline. So if I find myself one or two areas I needed to work on those, whether it was theory, whether it was practice, I'd go back and work on it religiously.
So this started in 2013.
Yes.
And then when did you get qualified?
2019, I got into the BCCI panel.
How many levels of examinations are there for you to clear?
Okay, back then there were different levels. Now it's a different set of levels. Back then you had to clear state panel exams, and then level 1 of BCCI, and then they would conduct what was called a level 1 refresher, and then a level 2. Level 2 on theory you were expected to clear with a 90%, and then you would get called for a practical and viva.
And now how different is it?
I think they've done away with the level 1 refresher, I think, which is nice because you're kind of repeating the same thing. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And I think they've added one for something on communication as well.
Oh, that's nice, because I think that's something that probably not spoken about, very less communicated about it, and yet it's what you need most of on the ground as well, right? You need to be able to communicate without doing it in as many words.
Yes, on the field as well, and as a TV umpire. Yes.
All right. So 2019 to now, it's actually only been what, 5 years?
Yes.
How many matches have you done? Do you keep a count?
I do, but my laptop will tell you better. I can't remember offhand.
Approximately?
No clue. Approx.
Okay.
Approx, I have no clue.
Okay. Now, 5 years back, when you started this journey, and when it started off with, was it predominantly the women's matches that you were doing and age group boys? Because this year, last season, you did the Ranji Trophy.
Right. So, So let me go back to my association daily games. Though I started off with 3 women's games, in the 10-11 years, I've done very few women games. 90% of my local games are men, 90-95%. So it kind of helps you, like I said, women and men are wired differently. The way the game is played is different, the way they behave is very different. So that way it has helped. But come into the BCCI scheme of things, yes, you start out with women's games and under 19 and under 16 kind of games, and then they look at your performance, they look at there is a feedback, there is a very nice feedback system where there is a match referee appointed for every match, and the match referee assesses you on your decision making on various aspects of umpiring, the non-tangibles as well, and then they assess you, rank you or group you, and then they decide what kind of games for the next season.
So by the time you actually start for your ICC, or even when you have to do matches for the international team, it's quite a long process.
It is. In some ways it is good because one, there are so many different laws and clauses of laws and playing conditions that you need to be aware of. Like I said, one is the theory part of it, and anything that happens on the field, the players are looking to you in terms of what decision you're going to take, whether it is an out not out decision, a wide no ball decision, or in terms of whether if there are interruptions because of ground and weather conditions, whether you're going to start, whether you're going to suspend play, whether you're going to restart. So everything that happens, they're looking to you, and there are certain situations which will happen one in a 200 games, and the more you do, the more you are equipped. Otherwise, theoretically you know what happens, but when it happens on the field, you're kind of dicey in terms of
what would you say was the diciest of them all?
I would say dicey, but I'll give you one of those situations which are very, very rare. It happened in a Legends League match that I did, say, a couple of years back, and one no ball was given, next ball was a free hit, and then the batter missed it, got bowled, and the ball ran away to the boundary. And this was even before the T20 match where the Virat Kohli, Dinesh Karthik incident happened. So I gave a bye and a boundary, and Irfan Pathan was the captain and Yusuf Pathan was one of the players, and they both were shocked that how can a batter get bowled and then that be given as a boundary. So I explained that in a free hit, unfortunately, it's unfortunate for the bowler, but that's how the game is. So this, unless you're absolutely confident of how to apply and how we've interpreted the laws, you will be a little blank, or you'll end up giving a wrong decision. It happens, we're all humans. So these kind of decisions are very, very rare. Probably my first ever in say 9 years. At that time I had done 9 years of umpiring. So these kind of situations are nice and interesting when they happen.
And you had no doubt about what the decision that you took, despite being questioned.
Absolutely.
That shows confidence in what you know. I mean, that's so nice to know that it does not matter who you are umpiring to, the laws remain the same. That's the fantastic thing about laws. It does not change with the way people, who it is that you're doing it for. So yeah, congrats on that one. All right. So my bigger question is, now that you are here where you are, I'm always curious to know, how do you think you are going to contribute going forward? How's the paying forward going to happen for you? Do you think it will happen?
I don't think too much along those lines. I just feel I need to focus on my performance, and if I keep upping it, and you need to grow and evolve as an umpire in terms of consistency and performance, whatever needs to happen off the field will happen on its own.
Would you like something to happen? That's how I'd like to say. For example, post my playing days, I knew I'm going to get back into. There's no way. I had the education, I had the resources to do a lot of other things, but I knew I'm not done with the sport at all. I will be giving it back either in the form of a coach or in the form of, I don't know. And now that's exactly what I'm coming to, because I always feel people who are as passionate as you are have the opportunity to grow a generation of umpires, perhaps, or even in general people who who grow up to be confident and are able to, take a complete grip of their life. So that's exactly where I'm coming from.
நான் ஒண்ணுமே பண்ணலமா.
பண்ணிருக்கேன்.
This is the start of my journey.
பண்ணலங்கிறது வேற விஷயம். பண்ணணும்னு நினைக்கிறேன்.
Yes, for sure.
பண்ணணும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். Which is where it always for me. For somebody who has a dream, I always think that dream should also be including how to fulfill a lot of other people's dreams as well.
Like I said, I don't tend to think too much along those lines, but yes, I look at the task in hand that I have. Yes, I certainly have ambitions and goals. Keep working towards that. Again, a much cliched line, but it's so true. You keep focusing on the process, and I think things take over. You'll never be perfect. Sometimes we run after perfection, and that tends itself puts up a block. But yeah, as long as you're constantly evolving and improving, I'm fine like that.
I think there's a lot of value or philosophy there that you can use. It's not about perfection, it's about starting off. Perfection may or may not happen, but the journey and the process that one goes through in trying to achieve whatever you set out doing, I think will happen eventually. So, shifting a little off umpiring, literally, what do you do when you don't umpire? How do you chill?
When I'm in cities where I have friends, growing up in school and college, I had a lot of friends. So then,
she was a very popular one, trust me.
She's getting sarcastic, you'll know by then.
No.
So they are spread out across the country. So when I get my off days, if I get a chance to catch up, and it's nice. One, catching up with friends. Friends are people you can be yourselves with. One. Two, you want to get your mind off cricket also. As much as I love cricket is a very, very important part of my life. Worked very hard for this. It's important to kind of switch off and stay away from cricket. And friends allow me to do that. And then I enjoy my 1 or 2 episodes of any comedy web series.
Favorite being?
I finished Friends. I started with the first season, first episode, and it took me a year and a half because I tend not to watch one episode during lunch or one episode during dinner is what I do. Then I started with Big Bang Theory and 2.5 Men. I finished Mom in between. So yeah, I alternate between 2.5 Men and Big Bang Theory.
Post this, we'll give you a lot more recommendations.
Okay, Sheldon will be offended, but yeah.
No, I love Big Bang Theory. There's no doubt about that. But we've got some other very funny, cute ones. Yeah, we'll talk about that. That's for an off-screen thing. Yeah, not here. All right. So you also have a very, very meticulous way that you prepare before a game.
Whatever makes you think so.
My conversations with you.
Okay.
So what do you do to make sure your focus remains?
Till very close to the match, anything other than cricket. And then, slowly shift into the mode of cricket. And again, I like to keep it light. Again, before a match, sometimes I like to watch a web series to keep your mood light. And then you try and switch on at different levels as you get closer to the game.
So if anybody thought umpires just come in there, walk in there and do their things, they don't. Yeah, they also have their own methods of preparation. Those of you who aspire to become umpires, it's not a walk in the park, right?
Yes.
So in terms of when people want to aspire to become, umpires at the highest level, I very often see that the seriousness has to be there right at a grassroots level, much like how you ask players to play. Even if it's an under 10 tournament that you're doing, you have to do the same kind of responsibility, isn't it?
Absolutely. In terms of preparation, it's not too very different from what players have. The net sessions and the earlier level games that you have in preparation for a higher level series, it's pretty much like it for us. The more games you do at the league level or whatever, it prepares you. It throws up different situations that when such a situation happens, at an international game or a Ranji game, you know how to handle it. It's absolutely important. And there are times when you yourself know you're not doing this particular thing properly. Again, you go back and work on that in those games and come prepared.
So a lot of self-reflection also goes in.
Okay.
And how about the conversation with your peers? How much information do you get from that?
A lot, especially with senior umpires and ICC umpires. So I have 11 years of umpiring. There are people who've done 20 years of umpiring, 25 years of umpiring, and many more years at the ICC level. So you're constantly discussing, like I said, some situation might have happened in your game. You pick that up and discuss with them, or something might have happened in their game, some other game. If it were to happen in my game, this is the right thing to do. So you tend to learn a lot, and that's something very that I look forward to.
And when people come to you for feedback?
As in feedback from?
About after a game, when you discuss.
Right.
How are you comfortable giving feedback?
About my own performance or theirs?
Theirs and yours as well.
In a lot of the WPL or international games, it's pretty much an open discussion, and sometimes blunt, and that's how it should be. We can't be giving a rosy picture all the time. If there is something that one particular person or as a group we've not managed too well, we openly discuss, saying we could have done this better. Next time this happens, let's do this.
You brought in the WPL topic, very interesting. Between WPL and the BCCI games that you get to do with only the domestic, and here there's a mix of domestic and international. How different is it? As an experience inside, you know, the way you see the players communicate with each other in a local domestic BCCI game, or even in an international game, but it's, you know the groups. Whereas in a WPL, it's very different. You get to hear a Meg Lanning talk to a Shefali Verma. The communication and the camaraderie inside. Is it very different? Is it the same? How interesting are the conversations inside that you hear?
It's certainly going along the lines of IPL, where you tend to know the players from the other side. They tend to know each other a lot more. But it's in the building stages now. We've just had a couple of years of WPL now, but we certainly see the camaraderie is there. They're getting to know, but communication will be a barrier to break over a period of time in terms of Hindi versus English and stuff like that. But you certainly see it going there.
And has it brought in a lot of change when you did the recent games? Do you see it coming in even here, the way players approach?
I think so, overall. For example, I think in the India-South Africa series, there was a lot of light-hearted banter going on. I think South Africa put up a fantastic resistance, and there was a period of, everybody could see when they were frustrating the Indians and the Indian bowlers, but it was done in a very nice and friendly manner, and you could see, so as long as it doesn't cross the line, and like I said earlier, it's a game of the players, you let them play, you don't interfere.
Right. Coming back a little bit about you again, you have good days and bad days on the field. And you know particularly, I'm going to start off with a negative, typically I don't like to say, but you know you have a particularly not so great day, but you still have another half to go. How do you handle it?
I think you try and tell yourself, again, like a player, you might have played a bad shot, you might have bowled a bad delivery, you might have dropped a catch. I know it's simple in theory, but it's important. It is what you need to do. Try and just tell yourself what has happened, focus on the next ball.
And then how do you go back the next day when you get your feedback? Because on a bad day, I'm sure the feedback, you also know what you're going to get. Do you overthink it? You let it happen, you know you accept it.
Feedback, you know already what you have done. So yeah, again, it's a challenge not to overthink it. Just look at what you could have done better there. What was your mindset or thinking when you did whatever you did, and what you could have done better. And again, try and lighten things up. Watch some comedy.
Web series.
Yes.
எது பண்ணாலும் web series பாத்துருங்கம்மா. அதுதான் முக்கியம்.
That's my go-to.
Okay. And who's been your inspiration through all this? It doesn't have to, I'm not talking about an umpiring inspiration, in general, to keep you going, you know?
I think, there are multiple people around who are constantly inspiring, past, present, right? So look at personal life. My grandmother has been a big inspiration, and she's been my strength She supported me all through. My family, I've been very, very lucky in terms of getting the family support that I do. Then you look at players. Sport has played a big part in my life. I look at sport and kind of equate it to life most of the time. You try and learn small quips here and there. The way Rahul Dravid had said long back that he prepares for a test match. Once Anil Kumble had said, I remember 2007 Perth match, I think India versus Australia, and then Anil Kumble was asked, so what's going on in your mind looking at the Baka bouncy pitch, and he said, you don't worry about all that, you control the controllables. So those are simple lines, but if you try and give it some attention and follow, I think they help you in a big way. I look at people who are mentally fit, strong, physically fit, strong, and others who have achieved a lot and still are able to stay humble. I try and learn from them, and I look at them and I say, whatever, if I am able to be a fraction of what they are, I'm happy.
Your favorite match, your most memorable match till now?
In which I have officiated?
Yep.
I have to pick two matches. One, my Ranji debut. For any umpire from India, it's a dream come true to do a Ranji debut. I had a pretty good debut. So I was
Which were the
happy with
teams?
that. Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh. And then
Who was your partner then?
Khalid Syed from BCCI. It was fantastic in terms of support. Again, it helps to do these matches with somebody who has much more experience, so you can draw from them, learn from them. And it was very nice when one of the coaches walked up to my partner Khalid and said they found at the end of the match, and they found the umpiring to be of extremely high standards. They meant it for both of us, so which was very nice. And thanks to him, he was great support. And same I would say for the test match, which just completed India South Africa. Again, to have ICC panel umpires like Virendra Sharma and Madhana Gopal, and then the referee Ms. G.S. Lakshmi set up fantastic atmosphere for the PCT to work on. I know we troubled Virendra a hell of a lot, but she was always there to support us with a smile. So the mood and atmosphere was very good, but doing a test match is a different feel altogether.
Still, you know, when I saw you that I came and you walked out, I had goosebumps because I had not seen you umpire live, and it felt really good, and it was a matter of pride. And we all discussed, we have some mutual friends, and we talk about her journey unnecessarily. Without her, we like all that. I mean, we talk all good things, trust me.
I believe you.
But yeah, it was a fantastic moment for all of us to watch her go out there. I went on day 1 and she was there on day 4. Shubha was there on day 4.
Don't know.
We were cheering for you. Come on.
Okay, if you say so. Okay.
Okay. Controversial questions could be, could not be. You can choose to answer it. Toughest captain that you have seen.
First captain.
Toughest person inside who would come and support that player so vehemently that sometimes, you know.
It's okay. I mean, you tend to understand. See, it's sport. It will be full of emotions. There is a lot of passion involved. If I have so much of passion for umpiring, I need to understand what level of passion they'll have for playing. Each player wants his or her team to win. That you can understand. As long as it's momentary and they've realized and it's not crossed the line, it's okay. And players also, you tend to see if you manage the match well and if you deal with players politely, they are fine by it.
And still haven't got a name.
Nobody in particular.
Escape mechanism. Seri. Okay. Sledging in women's cricket. This was banter, friendly banter. Have you had good sledging that you've seen? Actually, you had
Sledging.
And had a laugh about it.
Had a laugh, I would say. I think the way the Indians were going at South Africa and South Africa were taking their stride, having a good laugh. We were standing away and watching it and enjoying it. India, Australia tends to be a little competitive in every manner, but nothing so far as crossed the line to say.
பிரேக்கே பண்ண முடியுமா? ரொம்ப இவங்க அப்படியே ஸ்ட்ரிக்ட் ஆஃபீஸராக இருக்காங்க.
இருக்கிறத சொல்றேம்மா.
Okay, 5 years from now, where do you see us?
I have no clue.
Strict officer mode continues.
I have no clue.
சரி, அடுத்த கேள்வி கேட்போம். Lot more women coming in now.
Yes.
And those are good signs.
Absolutely.
We have a Kritika from TN herself who's come, and again somebody who came back into cricket after years of staying away. But it's creating a platform, right, where former players, especially if you're former players, you tend to think after playing days, okay, I got to go back into the typical norm. And then now I'm seeing a huge sea of change. It's very exciting. Where do you see it going from here?
It can only get better, because when Vrinda, Janani and I first came into umpiring in the BCCI mode, we were the first, obviously.
All three of you have not played professional cricket.
Vrinda and I have played university level. Janani, interestingly, has come from an engineering background.
Engineers have hope.
Certainly do. Yeah, so to now see the new crop coming in, it certainly is encouraging.
Does it help if you've played?
In some ways, see, it certainly helps to understand player behavior and player mentality and when to interfere, when not to interfere. Otherwise, if you've had a love for the game, and if you've been following the game for a long time and you've managed to pick up nuances of the game, so even without playing, you can be a good umpire. But it certainly helps if you played at some level. That's all. It need not be a handicap, but it helps.
But like you said, it helps maybe understand player behavior, but it will also cloud it in pretty much the same way as well. So that also hamper that, because you now come in without the baggage. Whereas somebody who's played says, I would not have reacted this way in this situation. Why is this player doing so? Could also backfire.
So we need to understand we are wearing different pair of shoes right now. We are not a player. We are an official. We are an umpire. Like I said before, it's a game for the players. We need to know we are facilitators here. Let them play, let them emote, as long as they don't cross the line. So till then, we play a passive role.
Great. I hope you continue to do your facilitations really well, and it's been an absolute delight talking with you, Guy. One, she started off to saying, I'm not very good in front of a camera. I think she's brilliant in front of a camera. She can do a lot more than she thinks she's capable of. Thank you so much for listening to all the questions, be answering me patiently, facilitating it as well, and being very, very politically right more often than not. Not the kind of conversations that we have off camera, but it's fun. Thank you so much once again.
Camera la enna otam irundadukku. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you want more of such interviews, do let us know in the comment section who you'd like us to speak with. That way you'll get information that you've always wanted to know, and if you can suggest a person and have a contact, do let me know. I'll do the rest of it. And if you like what you hear and see, do like, share and subscribe to Coach Alfie. See you next time.